Alright, so my name is Ryan. I was out here camping with grass, and we heard a bunch of different sounds throughout the night, and he asked me to talk about what I had heard specifically. And so I'll talk about the one that's kind of funny first. At one point we were sitting down just talking and having a beer, and behind us we heard a sound, and we decided it kind of sounded like somebody with corduroy jeans rubbing their legs together, which was really interesting. We only really heard that like once, but it was pretty loud, and I would say it was at least, I don't know, 75 to 100 feet behind us, just assuming that it was right on the other side of the road from where we're camped at. And so it was pretty loud, and it was weird. It didn't sound like a Bigfoot necessarily. Maybe a badger wearing really nice pants, I don't know. Then later in the night, when we were doing some call blasting and stuff like that, we actually were getting what I guess we could assume was responses from north of us, upstream. We're out at Sheep Creek, pretty far up. And at first it was really far in the distance, and it sounded like yelling or calls in return. It sounded similar to some of the things that we were blasting. We did a bunch of different things. But over time, it sounded closer, and we were talking about it, and we thought that it was impressive how much closer it sounded given what we perceived the apparent distance was that it may have traveled. We went on a hike later today, and it turns out that it may not have been quite as far as we initially thought. But then again, we were talking about this too, we're not really sure how to gauge the distance. We don't know how loud the source sound actually was, so you can't gauge the distance, and it's impossible with the hills around here and stuff like that. But the sounds were interesting, and I do believe that they were directly in response to our call blasting here at camp. Our camp, where our campfire was on a Nook. We have a fire app on the Nook, and so we had a campfire last night, and we didn't violate any laws, and that was nice. Other than those couple of things, we heard your basic just wood sounds and stuff like that. And right now, there's actually cows in the woods outside of our camp at the moment, and they are breaking twigs and eating things and making a nuisance of themselves. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Is there anything else that we talked about? There wasn't really any knocks or anything that stood out in my mind.
Except for that one you heard.
No. It wasn't really... The one that I heard wasn't really repeated very much, and it's hard to say what that was. Almost kind of like a non-event. Unless it's pitch black and you can't have a campfire and you're being super paranoid. Alright. That about covers my take on what I experienced last night.